How safe is public transport in Nigeria? The tragic case of Bamise Ayanwale might make you question that. Public transportation, the lifeblood of any bustling metropolis, is a necessity for millions of Nigerians every day. But beneath the routine of daily commutes there lurks a darker reality that beggars belief. A reality where safety is not a guarantee, but a luxury. A reality where a journey home can turn into a fight for survival. This is the reality that was thrust upon Bamise Ayanwale, a young fashion designer in the prime of her life. Born as the last child to her parents, Joseph and Comfort Ayanwale, she was one of 10 siblings. Her family, like many others, depended on the public transportation system for their daily needs. It was a system they trusted, a system they needed to trust. But on February 26, 2022, that trust was shattered. The public transport system that was supposed to be a lifeline became a death trap for Bamise. A regular evening, a routine journey home, turned into a nightmare that would shock a nation and expose the unsettling reality of public transport safety in Nigeria. What transpired on that fateful night? How did a young woman full of life and dreams become a victim of such a horrifying crime? As we delve into the details of Bamise's story, we are forced to confront the harsh truth about public transport in Nigeria. A truth that is as uncomfortable as it is undeniable. Bamise's usual evening turned into a nightmare on February 26, 2022. Bamise boarded a BRT bus in Lagos with no idea of the horrifying events that were about to unfold. It was a typical evening, the 26th day of February, 2022. Leaving work, she hoped to spend a refreshing weekend with her elder brother's family. With this intention, she boarded the bus at Chevron Lekki, aiming for Oshodi on the Lagos mainland. The bus driver, a man named Andrew Nice Omeninakoran, was an unfamiliar face. He didn't just flirt with her but also insisted that she sit at the back of the bus. What was supposed to be a routine commute started feeling strange, as she found herself the only passenger in the ominously dark interior of the bus. The unease grew when two other men boarded the vehicle, and the driver refrained from picking up any more passengers. The lack of CCTV cameras inside the bus added an extra layer of dread to the already suspicious circumstances. Sensing danger, Bamise reached out to her friend via WhatsApp, sending voice notes and video recordings revealing her concerns. Her friend advised her to alight as soon as possible and she tried to follow the advice. But time was running out. The last recorded conversation with her friend was a plea, a cry for help in the face of an impending threat. "Please pray for me." Attempts to reach her afterwards were futile. Her phone rang, unanswered, echoing the chilling silence that was slowly but surely wrapping itself around her loved ones. It was the silence that came after a storm, a silence that was far from peaceful. It was the silence of unanswered calls, of frantic search efforts, of sleepless nights spent praying for her safe return. The silence was punctuated by a horrifying realization: Bamise was missing. Then came the chilling silence, the unanswered calls, and the heart-wrenching realization that Bamise was missing. 9 days later, Bamise was found, but not the way her loved ones had hoped. Her lifeless body was discovered, naked and abandoned near the Carter Bridge on Lagos Island. It was a sight that no parent, sibling, or friend should ever have to bear witness to. An eyewitness, who happened upon the gruesome scene, recounted that Bamise was still alive when she was thrown from the BRT bus. A chilling thought, that in her final moments, she was left alone and struggling on the cold, hard ground without any chance of immediate medical assistance. The details of her discovery are as disturbing as they are heartbreaking. The condition of her corpse was a point of contention. Some reports suggested that she was found whole, while others claimed that her body was mutilated. The uncertainty added another layer of horror to an already tragic situation. The gruesome discovery sent shockwaves through the community. Bamise, a young woman full of promise, had been reduced to a tragic headline. Her life, cut short in the most brutal of ways, had become a symbol of the dangers that lurk in the shadows of public transportation. The questions surrounding her death began to mount. Who were the other men on the bus? Why had the driver, Andrew Nice Omeninakoran, remained silent and then fled? And perhaps most importantly, why was Bamise left to die on the side of the road? The circumstances of her death were a stark reminder of the vulnerability of women in a society where safety is not guaranteed. It was a brutal wake-up call that echoed far beyond the confines of Lagos, reaching into the hearts and minds of Nigerians everywhere. As the news of Bamise's death spread, the grief was palpable. But alongside the sorrow there was a growing sense of outrage. An innocent life had been stolen, And the quest for justice was just beginning. The shockwaves of Bamise's brutal end were just beginning to ripple through Nigeria. The driver of the BRT, Andrew Nice Omoninikaran, was soon in the crosshairs of law enforcement. The days following Bamise's disappearance were filled with frantic searching, mounting fear, and a deepening sense of dread that culminated in the worst possible outcome. But as the morning began, so did the hunt for justice. Omoninikaran, the man last seen with Bamise, had vanished into the shadows. He had slipped away into neighboring Ogun State, hiding from the glaring spotlight of public scrutiny and evading the clutches of law enforcement. But his freedom was short-lived. Thanks to the relentless efforts of the Department of State Security operatives, Omoninikaran was tracked down, arrested, and handed over to the police for questioning and custody. In the cold, stark light of the interrogation room, the driver's story began to unravel. He first confessed to the heinous act of raping Bamise and leaving her to die. But as the pressure mounted, his narrative changed. He denied any involvement in her murder, claiming that his bus was hijacked by armed robbers who kidnapped Bamise at gunpoint. However, Omoninikaran's claims were met with skepticism. Bamise's relatives, friends, and many Nigerians believed there was more to the story than what he was saying. Their suspicions grew stronger when accusations of similar assaults surfaced from at least 2 other female victims, painting a disturbing pattern of behavior. As Omoninikaran sits in a cell awaiting trial, his alleged accomplices remain shadows, their identities unknown, their roles in this horrific crime yet to be fully understood. But the pursuit of justice for Bamise is unyielding, fueled by a public outcry that continues to grow louder with each passing day. The story of Bamise Ayanwol serves as a chilling reminder of the dangers that can lurk in the most ordinary places, turning a routine bus ride into a deadly trap. Her tragic end has sparked a demand for change, for better safety measures, and for a justice system that ensures such atrocities are not repeated. As Omoninikaran awaits trial, the public outcry continues to grow. The demand for justice for Bamise is far from over. The fight has just begun. Bamise's story has sparked a nationwide demand for improved safety measures in public transport. The tragic event has sent shockwaves across Nigeria, leading to public protests and the temporary suspension of bus rapid transit operations in Lagos State. The sense of outrage is palpable. It's a collective cry for justice, for Bamise, and for all those who have been victims of similar atrocities. People took to the streets, their voices echoing in unison, demanding a thorough investigation and justice for Bamise. The suspension of the BRT operations wasn't just an act of protest, but a call to scrutinize and revamp the safety measures in place. The public outcry was loud and clear: safety should never be compromised. In response to the tragedy, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu made a pledge. He vowed to bring the culprits to justice and ensure that such a heinous act would not be repeated. But words alone are not enough. Action must follow. The First Lady of Lagos State, too, voiced her support for the installation of CCTV cameras in all BRT buses in the state. This is a step towards ensuring safety and accountability, but it's just one step of many needed to overhaul the system. Criticism was also directed at the Nigerian police system. Many Nigerians voiced their concerns over the inefficiencies within the system, pointing out that a more prompt and effective response could have possibly saved Bamise's life. The criticisms serve as a reminder of the urgent need for reform within the law enforcement agencies. Bamise's tragic end is a stark reminder that we must all demand justice for her and fight for safer public transport. Her story is a rallying cry, a call for change, for better safety measures, and for a system that truly protects its citizens. And it's a call we must all heed, for the safety of every Nigerian who steps onto a bus and for the memory of Bamise, whose life was tragically cut short.
In the blink of an eye, life can change. Take a moment to consider the tragic case of Bamise, a promising young woman whose life was abruptly ended in a brutal and senseless act. Her story is not just about the cruelty of her demise, but also about the courage she showed in her final moments. Ultimately, her story is a stark reminder of the need for safety and security, especially for women. Ponder over her story, let it inspire you to take action, to make a difference. If her story resonates, do engage, like, comment, share, follow us as we delve deeper into such stories, shedding light on the overlooked and the ignored,